you're calling your Chief Minister a liar.
It's not only a liar, he's a narcissist, a madman at the helm. And why is he being retained so far? What are the compulsions for the Home Minister to dismiss such an incompetent Chief Minister? This is what the nation needs to ask.
You called him a madman. You think he is actually a madman.
A sane man would not have behaved like this, Karan.
So you believe the time has come for the Chief Minister to be changed and dismissed?
I would put it differently, Karan. Not the time has come. It is past overdue that he should have been sacked and he should have been shown his place.
In other words, you say there are rumors about the nature of the relationship which have been speculated about, but you don't wish to make it public.
That cannot be made public on national television for reasons of propriety.
But it also suspects that the reason why the Home Minister is supporting and protecting the Chief Minister are less than honorable reasons.
Yes, exactly.
You agree?
Fully agreed.
You said the Prime Minister had refused to meet his own MLAs. How many times have you and the other 6 Kuki MLAs tried to meet the Prime Minister, and how many times has he refused?
Karan, the question is, how many times do we need to try? How many times do we need to knock on the doors of the Prime Minister? Such a crisis is such a crisis is disturbing a part of the country, and instead of the Prime Minister or the Home Minister calling the public representatives to discuss ways and means, we have to keep on knocking doors that are not opening.
So the Prime Minister has failed you.
I think he has failed his job, his position.
He has failed his position. He's failed his job. Is that right?
That's what I feel.
And in the process, has he failed Manipur?
Obviously, Karan.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch The Interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.
Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. With Manipur once again in the grip of violence, arson and brutal killings, we asked how much of the responsibility for failing to control the situation lies with the Biren Singh government. And what about the Modi government in Delhi? Secondly, is it now time to dismiss the government in Imphal? And more importantly, difficult as it may be, has the time come to accept a separate administration for the Kuki Zo people? Those are the key issues I should discuss today with the BJP MLA in the Manipur Assembly who represents the Kuki community, Paolienlal Haokip. Mr. Haokip, let's start with the violence in Manipur, which started in the Jiribam area but then spread to Imphal as well. According to the Hindu, in the 12 days since the 7th, at least 22 people have been killed. The Times of India says 13 homes of ministers and MLAs have been attacked. In addition, several vehicles have been destroyed and Hamar churches vandalized. After several weeks, some would say even a few months of relative calm, why is this suddenly happening now?
Karan, like I always say, absence of violence is not peace. What we have witnessed over the past few months was the absence of violence. And like I always say, violence does not happen unless it comes from the valley militia. We, the Kuki people, have organized volunteers to defend the villages that we inhabit. We don't go attacking the Meitei settlements. So it is when something sensitive comes up that the puppeteer let loose his puppets to cause the violence. This time around, it was the Supreme Court's admittance of the so-called Manipur audio tapes, wherein the Chief Minister had admitted candidly that he planned the whole ethnic cleansing and he is protecting whoever is taking part in the violence. So to divert attention away from all that, he had started the Jiribam violence.
So you're saying that the Jiribam violence was deliberately started by the Chief Minister? You're blaming him?
By his puppets.
With his knowledge and with his acquiescence?
He is the puppeteer, Karan. You know for a fact he's the puppeteer.
You're blaming you're blaming your own Chief Minister.
Party-wise, is my Chief Minister, but I have long lost faith in his sincerity as an administrator, and his impartiality is, very, very doubtful from the beginning of the conflict.
Now, there's a dispute about the 10 people killed on the 11th. Let me focus for a moment on that. The security forces have called them militants and insurgents. The Indigenous Tribal Leaders Forum insists that they are village volunteers. Is there any way of proving whether they are militants or volunteers?
Karan, I have on Saturday last visited the families of each of those volunteers. Most of them are within my constituency, except for one village, which is also close by. They are very poor households, but motivated enough to stand up to protect the villages of the Kuki community. They are not militants. This is from a first-hand account, and you can come down to Manipur and verify them. The families, everybody, they are mere villages. They have undergone a week's training to defend the villages from the onslaught of the Meitei militia, the Arambai Tengol.
So you are personally vouching for these people as village volunteers, and you are personally saying they are not militants. You know this personally from your having met with their families. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, Karan.
So you're putting your reputation as an MLA on the line when you say they are village volunteers, not militants. Your reputation is behind this.
Not only my reputation, my whole being. I know it for a fact because I have visited the families. They are not militants.
Let me put a second big issue to you. Are Kukis responsible for abducting and killing the 3 Meitei women and 3 children? Most reports suggest that Kukis are responsible for those abductions and deaths.
Whether they have been abducted or not, I don't know, but there have been some deaths that I know. And in a situation like this, where you must certainly know about the lady, the 31-year-old lady, whose brain have been, smashed out of her head. She was raped before that, and then thereafter, her body was burned beyond recognition. Now, why aren't we focusing on that kind of brutality? And why is everybody shouting ho about the retaliatory killings of some
Just a
civilians.
moment. You're saying that the abduction and killing of the 3 women and 3 children was a retaliation for the earlier killing and rape of a Kuki village woman. Is that what you're saying? One was a retaliation for the other.
Yes, Karan, in a conflict like this, emotions tend to rule. When you killed a lady, a mother of 3, with such brutality, passions run high, and the conflict got escalated. And in the process, some deaths are inevitable, unfortunately.
So if it was retaliation, you're also accepting that it was done by the Kukis in retaliation.
Yes, obviously. What's there to hide? It is a civil war. And Karan, here let me point out the Jiribam incident started with the burning of that Mar village, Jairon, if I'm not mistaken. And there were security forces. The CRPF was stationed in that village, and they did not intervene. That is what angered my people. They did not intervene.
We've
But
reached a terrible situation where tit for tat killings are happening all the time, and both sides are justifying the brutal killing of the other. We've reached a point where people are treating each other without any humanity, without any care, without any consideration for the fact they're fellow human beings. This is a very low point.
exactly, Karan, you and me sitting here and discussing can condemn the killings. But when your village is under attack, when your houses are being burned down, and the central forces are not giving the protection they're supposed to, the villagers have no option but to seek help.
Are you justifying the killing of those 3 women and 3 children? Are you justifying it?
Karan, nobody can and nobody should justify any killings. But what I'm trying to tell your audience is when killings happen, when your village is under attack, when your houses are burned, then patients on the spot tend to flare up and reactions are natural.
So, in other words,
Protective.
you're saying this may not be justified, but it's inevitable, it's natural, it's to be expected.
Yes, it is very unfortunate. It is not justifiable, but it is inevitable.
Let's then, at this point, come to what perhaps is the key question. How much of the responsibility for failing to bring the situation under control lies squarely at the doorstep of Chief Minister Biren Singh? Remember, the trouble started on the 3rd of May 2023. Almost 18 and a half months have passed. The violence, the killing, the brutality, the arson continues. How much of the blame, how much of the responsibility is Chief Minister Biren Singh's?
Karan, let's look at it this way. For the first week or so, and prior to that, for creating a narrative of hatred against a particular community and for really igniting the ethnic cleansing drive, he is responsible. And for not controlling the riots within the first few days, he is squarely responsible. And for allowing the violent situation to prolong this long, I think part of the blame should also go to the central government for failing to act on lines which have been suggested by all right-thinking citizens, including media personnel.
You're saying to me that, to begin with, your Chief Minister Biren Singh is responsible for provoking the violence with his hatred, for failing to control it, and for failing to allow it to stop. He's responsible for all three: provoking, failing to control, letting it continue. All three.
All three. And on the third, the central government is also partly responsible.
And you're saying this as a BJP MLA. You are a member of
Yes.
that party.
Current political parties are meant to serve the people. And when a party or some functionaries within that party misappropriated the party we should speak up.
Are you disillusioned with the BJP?
The BJP per se has many sane elements. There are some insane elements that are misappropriating the party and the power that comes with the victory of the party. They're misappropriating it to turn the state of Manipur into a communal state, the state forces into communal force, which should be condemned by all right-thinking people, even within the party, Karan.
Tell me this. You are squarely blaming the Chief Minister. On the other hand, the Chief Minister, speaking through Tushar Mehta, the Solicitor General, told the Supreme Court just a few days ago that he had been talking to Kuki MLAs about resolving the situation. In response, the 10 Kuki MLAs issued a statement to say there had been no contact between them and the Chief Minister at all. Doesn't that mean that the Solicitor General has lied to the Supreme Court?
That's what I have pointed out, and that's what the along with my fellow other 9 MLAs we have pointed out. It is a blatant lie submitted before the highest court of the land. This is a travesty of justice.
But the Solicitor General would not have said this unless Biren Singh said it to him. So it means Biren Singh has also lied to the Supreme Court.
Exactly, Karan.
You're
Yes, not only lied to the Supreme Court.
You're calling your Chief Minister a liar.
It's not only a liar, he's a narcissist, a madman at the helm. And why is he being retained so far? What are the compulsions for the Home Minister to dismiss such an incompetent Chief Minister? This is what the nation needs to ask.
You called him a madman. You think he is actually a madman.
A sane man would not have behaved like this, Karan.
So you believe the time has come for the Chief Minister to be changed and dismissed?
I would put it differently, Karan. Not the time has come. It is past overdue that he should have been sacked and he should have been shown his place.
Then let me put this to you. On Sunday, Conrad Sangma's National People's Party withdrew support to the Biren Singh government, accusing it of having completely failed. The BJP has 7 Kuki MLAs, yourself and 6 others. Do the 7 of you support this government if it comes to a vote of confidence in the assembly? Will you abstain or will you vote against the government?
First off, if there is a motion of confidence for security reasons, we would not be able to attend such an assembly, Karan. We have not been able to participate in the last 3 sessions of the assembly. This is the gravity of the situation on the ground.
Which means that your absence will be an abstention.
I don't know how it would be interpreted, Karan, but if we are allowed to, or if we are facilitated to be present, I am sure the vote would be against Mr. Biren Singh.
So if you were present in the assembly when a vote of confidence on the Biren Singh government were being taken, you and the other 6 BJP Kuki MLAs would vote against Biren Singh. That's what you're saying.
That is what we have declared as long back as 15th of May 2023, Karan.
So if Biren Singh were to be removed, either through a vote of confidence or because the Home Minister is hearing you in Delhi and decides to change the Chief Minister, what would your preference be? Another Chief Minister from within the BJP or President's rule? Which of the two?
Karan, given the current situation in the state, the wise thing would be to have Manipur placed under the President's rule, within which a political solution to the problem should be negotiated and worked out. Sort of that, I don't see peace returning to Manipur anytime soon, unfortunately.
So you're saying to me President's rule is the only solution at the moment?
That is what has been for a long time now, Karan. But I don't know what is going on in the heads of the central leadership. They keep on protecting a chief minister of a marauder.
You called him a madman earlier, now you're calling him a marauder.
He's clearly behind the ethnic cleansing, Karan. What's there not to say about that?
Let's talk about the central government. In 2017, Prime Minister Modi tweeted, and I'm quoting, "Those who cannot ensure peace in the state have no right to govern Manipur." It's so important, I'm going to repeat it again. Those who cannot ensure peace in the state have no right to govern Manipur. If that is his position, and it was his position in 2017, how do you explain the fact that he hasn't got rid of his own government in Manipur? It's clearly failed, it cannot ensure peace, yet he will not fulfill his own commitment.
Karan, what do I say? English is a very funny language, as I always maintain. When he says those who cannot maintain peace have no right to govern, what he did not say could be those who cannot bring about some violence has no right to rule. Judging from the violence that has happened since.
So the Prime Minister has been hypocritical, to put it mildly. He is not living up to what he claimed in 2017.
I don't think there is even an attempt to live up to that claim, Karan, because a part of the country is enmeshed in this kind of ethnic violence. So many deaths, so many displacements. And for the record, Karan, ever since the 3rd of May, the Kuki parts of the state have been deprived of all developmental funding. And
you said the Prime Minister has not even made any attempt to live up to his words. Does that mean that when he said in 2017, those who cannot ensure peace in the state have no right to govern Manipur, that he was lying, that he was deceiving, that he wasn't speaking the truth?
I mean, those are election campaign speeches. Living up to them is something else. And apparently, we have not seen any attempt to live up to that claim, because
so then do you accept the Prime Minister was hypocritical?
Well, it proves itself, Karan, without me or you.
Is that yes?
Without me or you having to say it, the claim and the situation in Manipur seems to prove that.
You're saying to me the situation in Manipur proves the Prime Minister is a hypocrite?
Let's not put words into each other's mouth. It is clear that whatever was said was not truly meant.
Okay, let's come to something else. There is no part of the country the Prime Minister doesn't visit. But even after 18 and a half months, he's refused to go to Manipur. In fact, he doesn't even speak very much about Manipur. In your eyes, has he failed Manipur and has he let down your state?
I think, Karan, the root cause of the problem is the Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister, and the Honorable Union Home Minister refusing to meet even their own MLAs from the Kuki community, communicating only with the imposed Chief Minister, and hearing only one side of the story. And in the process, they are misdiagnosing the problem. The political problem is being intentionally presented to them as a national security threat, which is absurd. It is a political solution. A section of the population, because of decades of denial of political rights under the Constitution, wanting a separate administration in order to be able to share the fruits of independence.
You said the Prime Minister had refused to meet his own MLAs. How many times have you and the other 6 Kuki MLAs tried to meet the Prime Minister, and how many times has he refused?
Karan, the question is, how many times do we need to try? How many times do we need to knock on the doors of the Prime Minister? Such a crisis is such a crisis is disturbing a part of the country. And instead of the Prime Minister or the Home Minister calling the public representatives to discuss ways and means, we have to keep on knocking doors that are not opening.
So the Prime Minister has failed you.
I think he has failed his job, his position.
He has failed his position. He's failed his job. Is that right?
That's what I feel.
And in the process, has he failed Manipur?
Obviously, Karan.
What about the Home Minister?
I think it is the Home Minister that is protecting the Chief Minister of Manipur. And and for the record, he is an imposed leader.
Why is he protecting Biren Singh? What's the explanation?
That everybody has to ask.
What do you suspect is the reason?
I don't know the answers to that, but there are grapevines, political grapevines doing the rounds. But for purposes of propriety, we should not discuss those on the national television.
In other words, you say there are rumors about the nature of the relationship, which have been speculated about, but you don't wish to make it public.
That cannot be made public on national television for reasons of propriety.
But it also suspects that the reason why the Home Minister is supporting and protecting the Chief Minister are less than honorable reasons.
Yes, exactly.
You agree?
Fully agreed. Otherwise, Karan, there is no rationale. There is no rationale left to maintain or to keep on protecting such Chief Minister who has disastrously failed to manage the state and who has communalized the state forces, and divided the people of the state, Karan.
It's not just that the Home Minister and the Prime Minister are protecting a Chief Minister who you said has disastrously failed. Those were your precise words. But Manipur at the moment doesn't even have a full-time governor. The governor of Assam is acting as the Manipur governor and has been doing so since, I believe, July.
Sometimes.
So that suggests that Delhi is not responding to the seriousness of the situation. It's taking Manipur very casually.
Karan, it is very unfortunate, but like I said, because they would not listen to the Kuki side of the story, they're trying to treat the problem as a security problem, which is not. And there is a tint of majoritarian arrogance in the whole thing, whether it is from the center or from the state capital. And this is
when
you
say majoritarian arrogance, are you talking about Meitei dominance over the Kukis?
That and the persecution of the Christian minorities seems to matter a lot less than persecution of Hindu citizens elsewhere, Karan, to the center.
Are you suggesting some sort of Hindutva influence behind the Home Minister?
Initially, if you remember, Karan, in our first interview, I have said categorically that the violence in Manipur is not religious, it is ethnic. But now I'm telling you, the neglect by the center seems to manifest you know, a religious angle wherein the Christian minorities don't matter too much in the eyes of the center. Otherwise, how can they allow such violence, such virulent violence to prolong this long?
In other words, over the process of 18 months, what was ethnic violence has now become Hindu versus Christian.
Not so much Hindu versus Christian. What I'm saying here is, Karan, that if the Kukizo Christian community were a Hindu community, they might not be neglected for this long.
You're saying that because the Home Minister is a Hindu, he's less concerned about what's happening to Christian minorities in Manipur?
Not as concerned as a neutral, rational Home Minister should be.
Let me then put this to you, Mr. Haokip. In the circumstances that you've sketched out, not just the violence and the troubles and the killing that has continued for 18 months, but this new dimension that you're talking about, how a Hindu Home Minister seems to be less concerned about what happens to Christian minorities in Manipur, is the Kuki demand for a separate administration now the only solution?
That I have always maintained is the only solution, Karan. As Robert Frost, the famous poet, in his famous poem, The Mending Wall, had said, "Good fences make good neighbors." So it is the best way forward that the two people be kept under separate administrative units, and then thereafter they can develop good neighborly relations. Otherwise, if status quo were to be maintained, the kind of ethnic bias that the majority community would have, as they have always been, now would be accentuated, and it would be difficult, impossible to survive for the minority community like the Kukizo.
And when you talk about separate administration, are you talking about a union territory with a legislature, or are you still insisting on statehood? Which of the two?
No, we have formalized a political demand, and we have endorsed the suspension of operation groups that were in negotiation with the central government. All our CSOs as well as elected representatives have endorsed the SO representatives for dialogue with the central government, and we have formulated a demand for a union territory with legislature. That we have already submitted.
From every indication one has, the Home Minister, the Prime Minister, and perhaps the central government as a whole are against granting a union territory status to you. You're aware of that better than I am. You're up against a brick wall that isn't budging. How do you plan to persuade them to change their mind?
Karan, let me put it this way. In the state of Manipur, ever since 1972, the statehood in which the Manipur was granted statehood, there were constitutional provisions meant to protect the rights of minority communities like the Kukizo community. Those have been disrespected, disregarded for the past 50 odd years. Now, on top of that, we have been ethnically cleansed from all the valley parts of Manipur. Now, given that context, the historical context as well as the recent ethnic cleansing, I think all right-thinking citizens, including the Honorable Home Minister and the Prime Minister, should realize the fact that the Kukizo citizens of India have a right to live without fear, have a right to develop along with the rest of India,
but
and
that's
not be deprived, not be suppressed.
But that is something they don't recognize and don't seem to want to recognize. So how will you change their mind?
Karan, as long as the government, the central government, fail to recognize that, it would mean they don't want peace to return to Manipur.
In other words, it's either separate administration or continuing violence and civil war, as you called it.
That is inevitable, Karan.
My last question. Given that you think the Prime Minister has failed his job and failed Manipur, given that you think the Home Minister is protecting a Chief Minister who you called disastrously failed, who you called a madman, who you called a marauder, and the Home Minister is still defending him, and given that you agree that the reasons why the Home Minister seems to do so are less than honorable, given all of that, why are you still a member of the BJP? Why haven't you resigned from your party?
Karan, BJP is not about Biren Singh or Amit Shah. There are sane elements within the party. And like I always say, politics is also a waiting game. Such elements have their time, but the good elements will also have the time to rule the country. And I look forward to, and I work towards that. Running away, resigning is the easy way out, Karan.
This is a bit like waiting for Godot. You could be waiting forever.
Karan, Bollywood films depict life in some ways. The villains used to rule the roost in the beginning, but the heroes always shine at the end. So I'm hopeful, optimistic.
All right, Mr. Haokip. Thank you very much indeed for this interview, and in particular for your outspokenness and candor. And let me remind the audience, you believe that you have lost all faith in the sincerity of Biren Singh as Chief Minister. His impartiality and integrity, you said, as an administrator is doubtful. You called him a madman and a marauder. You say the Home Minister is protecting him for reasons that are less than honorable, and the Prime Minister, you say, has failed his job and obviously failed Manipur. And yet, you still remain a BJP member because you hope and pray something good can come out of it. Thank you very much indeed for your outspokenness. Take care.
Thank you, Karan. Thank you, Karan.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.